Think we are.
You are live.
You.
It's showtime. Here we are, Thursday mornings, coming to you from all across the globe. Not Circle Leadership headquarters this time.
All across Queensland.
Circle Leadership headquarters on the move. It says that we are live, but I don't feel too alive at the minute.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm coming to you with what could be the world's worst bout of man flu. So
I don't believe it. Couldn't
just
believe
be
it.
mindful. This could be worst bout of man flu ever recorded on history. So
Jesus. Okay,
anyway,
let's get right into this, I reckon.
This week, we're here to talk about performance management versus performance leadership. This is something I've been working with leaders on for a very, very long time, this concept of performance management. And in our newsletter, we covered a whole bunch of different range of topics, around that topic, ideas and concepts around that. But like most things, I believe that it's time that we started looking at things differently. Right? When you think about leadership in the world today, and the reason why I wrote Simplified was because most of what we call leadership today is just modern management practices. So if we have modern management practices disguised as leadership, then we're using performance management as a tool to manage people's performance, but it's not an effective way to help people evolve and become the best version of themselves and do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. It's more a directive reporting structure rather than a how do I help build you up structure. Oh yeah, Levi. Yeah, he. That was your fault back then too, Levi. I think it might have been 2020 actually. Anyway, or maybe it was 21. Regardless, so I'll still blame Levi that it's his fault that I'm suffering the world's worst bout of man flu since 2021. Okay, so when you think about performance management in organizations, we need to move away from this thing of managing people, okay? I'll go back to some of the fundamentals that we work on is that you lead people and you manage resources, and humans or people are not a resource. Now, I appreciate there's a whole bunch of human resource people out there, but it should be, as our great friends Rob and Elisa at Quantum HR testify to, that it should be resources for humans, not humans as a resource. How many of us want to be considered a means to an end, an expendable commodity? All right? We have to stop treating people like resources. And of course, in our definition of leadership, it talks about that leadership is all about helping other people become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. And that means that you care about them as a human being first, an employee second. It also says that anyone can demonstrate leadership in any layer or level of the organization. Yet in the organizations today, we still talk about performance management. We very rarely have performance leadership conversations. So the difference between performance management, the simplest way I can describe this to people is performance management is pretty much, it's a system that you use in your organization to retrospectively look back at how people have performed over certain periods of time. All right, so you'll have, whether it's the quarterly or the annual or biannual performance review. Okay, and this is where one of my clarisms there that came out of this, I really believe, Lisa, you'd know this from your vast experience of working in organizations as well, that you ever been working on something and you come up for your quarterly performance review and then they bring something up that happened 2 months ago. And
I don't even know what I had for breakfast yesterday.
Let alone the fact that you're being chastised because your performance wasn't where it needed to be 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever experienced that?
It's like the old adage of the dog shit on the carpet 2 months ago. Now we're going to go flog it today. Oh, really? That's just me, man. That's just you.
So, sorry, I missed what you shared there.
It goes back to the fact that if the dog shit on the carpet 2 months ago, and then you're trying to get up it for doing it now, it makes no sense. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to make the dog bitter, twisted, and want to bite your hand off.
Yeah. So that's where the clarism comes from, is that performance management is just like rubbing a dog's nose in the poop it did 2 weeks ago. It just doesn't.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that was a clarism you were going to lead with. That's perfect. We're on a vibe, bro. We're on a vibe.
Yeah. So this is what it is. So, and how many times have people got to do their performance review and it's been a big surprise as to where their performance is? Right? Now I know in some modern organizations that there's some people doing shorter windows and stuff like that and looking for ways to look at that. But I want to share with you, what if we shifted the concept subtly into performance leadership? So instead of actually having an organization that looks backwards, what if we had an organization that built people up and moved them forwards?
Yes,
We
please.
talked in the past about becoming a coach, not a boss. So if we move into an organization where, from a leadership point of view, we're actually coaching our teams, and that's what leadership's all about, helping people become that best version of themselves to do their life's best work, then if we're doing that, we're actually starting to build people up and lift them up rather than look backwards and tear them down. So performance leadership and organization, it's something that I would hope everyone will embrace as a concept. It says, hey, are you having a weekly nudge? Just to, hey, how things going? Are you talking to your team every week? Are you having a one-on-one coaching session with them every month? And in that coaching session, are you asking for feedback on how you can improve as a leader? Are you actually making sure that we're tracking and everything? We can see where things are at each week so that we don't have to go 4 or 12 weeks into it and then realize that, hey, you've been off track for the past 8 weeks. We should be at the stage where nobody is confused about where they are. As soon as I'm driving along my Google Maps, and if I take a wrong turn, Google Maps automatically corrects me and says, turn here, turn there to get back onto the fastest route. Okay, so from a performance leadership point of view, as soon as I get off track, I want my leader to step in and say, hey, Dave, talk to me about what you were thinking there. What's going on? What was happening? What do you think, if we want to get these results, what do you think would drive those results? The conversations that you and I have shared numerous times on these live streams that people should be having with each other.
And that's so good, Dave. Like, I just want to go back to that point of when you've got your Google Maps going, like I'm about to come towards you in Harvey Bay, that's going to be 4 hours. It's not going to wait until I'm 3 hours out the wrong side and heading towards Coffs Harbour before it's like, oh, by the way, you should have been going north, not south 3 hours ago. It's like, oh, geez, man, you need to get back on track. You need to get back on track. You need to get back on track now. That's really key. And I love that, the Google Maps piece.
Yeah.
Let's write that down because we can all get around that.
Yeah. So remembering then that your role as a leader is to help, firstly, to create a culture where people can bring their best version of themselves to work, and then take that best version and help them become even more of what they're capable of so they can continue to do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. And you can't do that by managing people, right? Management's all about the numbers. It's about the science, but you lead people. It's the art. It's the human stuff. It's the narrative, right? And therefore, if we're constantly reinforcing the narrative of our organization and that whole difference between the gap and the thinking they have and the thinking we need them to have and coaching the gap constantly, then when they do get off track, we can get them back on the track very quickly. And it could be sometimes that we're the ones who actually get them off track. Okay, so performance leadership is usually is tied to coaching. It's about lifting people up. It's about weekly nudges. It's about monthly coaching sessions. It's about quarterly intensive, setting new objectives. Whereas performance management is really tied to more measurable results. Here's the results we want. Here's the results you've demonstrated. They're not the results we want. Change your behavior, get these results. It doesn't get into that below level where we talk about, the thinking that drives that behavior, right? Because leadership is the bottom half of the iceberg. It's the part that you can't see. It's not the stuff on top of the iceberg that, it's the stuff at the bottom that rips a hole in the boat, not the stuff above the surface, right? So we need to make sure then that we're encouraging people to become the best and lead them and provide coaching support for them to there. And you will know if the gap keeps constantly getting wider and wider, then you're going to need to be able to do something about that, right?
And it's
which
the
segue
process.
Where I want to go with the next part. So,
sorry, Dave. And it's the same as a process for human behavior. Is it possible that performance management is just the above the line stuff that you can see, and performance leadership is the below the line stuff where it's helping people change the way that they think about what they've got to do in order to get those KPIs and results? And that's our job as performance leaders, is to help shift people's thinking so that they will, just by virtue of having the way they think, drive the way they act, fall into the stuff and take the action and do the things that means that their performance doesn't need to be managed. It just is, because we're helping guide and shift through those constant weekly nudges and monthly coaching and quarterly intensives. It's just going to be getting people on the right track. They just got to get there and drive. So I love that. We can map that across.
Right. So what I'm going to share with you is now I'm going to go to the whiteboard. But I'm going to share with you a very old tool. It's nothing new, and I didn't create this, but it's an old tool. But I might put a new spin on it in terms of how we would look at it. So I want to move to the old willing and able matrix. All right. So if you look at this here, If you're looking at up the vertical axis here, it's how willing is that person to do the work that they need to do, and then across the bottom here is how able are they. So it's like the skill and will kind of a concept. But when you look at this here as a matrix, if you have someone who's really high will, so they're really willing to do something, but they're low in ability, all that they need then with my let me draw this here. They need to be trained, right? It's training. We need to put a training plan in place for this person. Okay. And please understand, when you're doing development plans for people in your organization, performance plan or the performance, their role and responsibilities and how you measure their performance is what we ask of them. Development is what we give them. So if we're asking you to perform at a higher level than you have in the past, then we need to help you become more than you've been before in the past. And therefore, this is what your development plan should be, is how do I help you become the person who could achieve those results?
Dave,
and
can
so
you
we need
say
to
that
train
again?
those people, right? So they're really high in willingness. They got the right attitude. They just they're lacking in skill. Then there's people who are really, really got all the skill sets in the world, but they're lacking a little bit of willingness. And usually what it is just a lack of motivation. All we have to do then is find out what motivates that individual. Okay, so we need to find out what's the motivation for them, right? And then help them to move up to the top quadrant where we want to be in the moment. So when you have someone who's very high willing and high ability, these people here, you want to just keep evolving those people. This is what I, pardon the expression, I call love the shit out of those people. All right?
We love loving the shit out of people.
Yeah. So if we can get this person to be more motivated, then we can actually move them into here. If we get this person more trained, we can move them into here. And then I guess that leaves the last quadrant, right? So this last quadrant down the bottom, if they're very low in willingness and low in ability, it's what I call recruit them out. I'm hoping this is going to come up because I think my technology has man flu as well. So in this quadrant here, we want to recruit them out. And where a lot of other people would say free up their future or whatever, I call it recruit them out, because for some reason we recruited those people into our organization because we thought they had some ability or willingness. Now, if over a period of time, and there are attempts to train them or to motivate them, or motivate them, and it didn't work out, then we're going to get to a stage where we just need to find a way to recruit them out. Because it doesn't mean that they're a bad human being just because they don't want to perform in our organization anymore.
And also to that point
so
as well,
really
Dave.
We still care about you as a human being first, employee second. And if we had the gumption to bring you into our organization and it just didn't pan out, then we should do the right thing by you and actually help recruit you out.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, and also with that, not beating ourselves up going, why did I bring this person in? I should have known better, all of this kind of stuff.
No.
We, as people who are recruiting and inviting people into our circles, only know what we know at the time. We can only act on what our truth is and the information available to us there and then. And so therefore, as we evolve and as we move through this journey with these people, if new information becomes available, whereby actually it might be better to recruit them out, don't belt yourself up don't belt yourself up for having them there in the first place, because you only did with the best with what you knew at the time. And that's okay, because more information becomes available as we move forward. It's what you do next that counts. And that's where the recruit them out piece comes in, if that is the best next step.
Or if I'm frozen or she's frozen.
Anyway, I'm done now.
Okay. So where are we? We're the joys of doing live streams. Anything can and will go wrong. So here's the thing. So here's how the last part. So I talked about the difference between performance leadership and performance management. I talked about willingness and ability, and train those who are high willing but low in ability, motivate those who are low in willingness but high in ability, and continue to evolve those who are highly willing and highly able. And those who choose not to be in that space, then we can help recruit them out. Here's the simplest way to recruit them out. When I led an organization many years ago, we had an FT of about 12.5 people. When I left, there was about 6 people doing about the same amount of work, if not more, with 6 people who loved being there, who wanted to do the work that was being done. Now, at no stage did I fire anybody from that organization. I did make 2 roles redundant, um, but outside of that, everyone else chose to leave. And here's the methodology in which I use to help recruit those people out. Okay. Um, you know what? I'm going to turn off my cam. It might just help. So I'll turn my picture off. This might help the streaming. So Lisa, can you still bring up? There we go. Okay, I'm just going to turn myself off here so that it actually, yeah, beautiful. This might help with the bandwidth here. We might just having a bandwidth issue. Okay, so if you're watching this, please understand. Here's how you recruit somebody out of your organization. Very simply, like this. All you need to do is go, hey, obviously you're not happy here, all right, and it's not working out. So here's what I'm willing to do for you. I'm willing to give you a great reference and let you attend any job interviews that you'd like, in order to get a role that's more suited to you, that fits your lifestyle or whatever it is that's going to make you happier. And then all I'm going to ask for in return is a certain level of performance. Okay? So I want this level of performance right now. And if the performance drops below that, we're going to have a different conversation. If you choose to go to an interview and you chuck a sickie to go to the interview and you don't tell me about it, we're going to have a different conversation, right? Because I'm willing to support you in finding what you'd like. As long as you maintain your level of performance while you're here, just tell me you have an interview. I'll give you a great reference, and then we'll help you make time to go for that. As an employer, I don't want someone to take a whole day's sick leave just so they can go to a job interview. And miss out on the performance they could have. So I always supported the people in terms of when they wanted to leave the organization. If you want to leave, no problems. Let me help you find what it is you'd like to do. Be honest with me. I'll be honest with you. Maintain this level of performance. I'll give you a great reference because I care about you as a human being first. Okay? So when you're looking at recruiting somebody out, you don't have to fire them. You don't have to. You can choose to if you want to. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying there's other ways to do it, to actually be more human about your organization. And when you do that and people see that that's happening and the performance is being maintained and all the parameters are being met, like what a great employer to work for. What a place to go where they actually demonstrate they really do care about you as a human being. And then if you do your part, well, then everyone will win and you'll find what you want and the organization will still maintain your performance while we start looking for your replacement. It's fine. So this is what we need to be mindful of when we're looking at supporting people to recruit them out.
Dave, can you hear me there?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I was just going to ask what you just said then, and that particular approach is so gold. It's really, really key. Is there a way, or is there a post, or is there a resource that we can provide people with just some of that methodology or that approach or framework that you use so that people can start applying that? Because I think that's absolutely fantastic. So good. And I also want to copy for myself for when I'm ready to recruit you out of your business to go and play more golf.
I'm okay with that. If anyone just puts hashtag recruit out, we'll get you. I'll give you all my notes and everything on and methodology and simple stuff, and copy the Willing Enable Matrix. Because what I suggest leaders to do, Lisa, is with the Willing Enable Matrix, very simple. You can draw it yourself if you want, but is if you looked at every single person in your organization, which quadrant would you put them in? Who's highly willing? Yeah. So who's highly willing? And if you just start putting their initials in each of the quadrants, you can find out where those people are. And then you can go, well, here's the people I need to train. Here's the people I need to motivate. Here's the people I need to continue loving the shit out of. And here's the people I might need to help find something where they might be happier. So, is it waiting for Lisa to come back on, or it might be me who's frozen out again? I'm going to stop my camera again. Hopefully this will save on the bandwidth. The joys of live streaming. Okay, it looks like we're having extreme technical difficulties. I don't know if any of you can hear us or see us. Lisa, if you can hear me, I can't see you. I don't even have you in the stream at the moment. I'm going to have to leave it there. Certainly apologize. This is something that Lisa and I could probably do again for people. We'll do it a little bit neater. Maybe we'll just do it as a simple video for people. But please hashtag recruit out, and we'll make sure we get you the tools and processes to be able to handle this. I know Lisa suggested that she was having some technical challenges with her battery. So to those of you who are watching and listening, really value your time and participation and commentary on our live streams. And every now and again, we have some technical challenges. So today seems to be one of them. I'll let everyone go. Thank you so much for your time and attention. As usual, we'll be back next week, hopefully with a much broader bandwidth, because we'll be back in the studio next week, which is very exciting. And looking forward to seeing you all then. And I think we might be talking about different styles of leadership. So that's going to be on the back of this, moving from performance management to performance leadership. We're going to start talking about the let's just call the evolution of leadership in terms of from different leadership styles to where we are in the world today. So it'll be a very exciting one, which will help you look at where are you as a leader and what's the next evolution of yourself in terms of the style of leadership that the world is asking of you. So thank you so much, everyone, for your commentaries. Hashtag recruit out if you'd like any of the information we shared today, if any of it made any sense, if any of it came through on the live stream. Other than that, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.